Welcome back to the ANS Way. Today we are going to do a video on
10 random facts about living in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I would say so. We originally was going to do a video on fun facts, but then as we made the list, some of them are definitely not fun facts. But definitely good to know if you ever come to Vegas. And starting at number 1, we have driving. Which I believe, and we will do it, we could do a dedicated video.
We will do a dedicated video on driving.
The driving rules of Vegas, and we've definitely learned some things since being here for the last 4 months.
I think we have a slightly different opinion, because there is actually quite a lot of reasonably good driving if you compare it to a city like London, which I would say the driving standards are fairly low. If you compare it to where we lived before, somewhere like Kent, into deeper Kent, they actually have quite good driving standards. However, there are some key things that stand out here. One of them being driving the wrong way down the road.
Yes.
And it is super common. So I can't remember the last time I had witnessed, seen it, been in a situation where somebody's driving the wrong way in UK. And I was driving maybe up to 20,000 miles for about 5 or 6 years. Per year. You were driving quite a lot as well.
Yeah, I was driving a lot. You just don't see that often in the UK.
And here we've seen it at least 4 times. 4 times, one of which we witnessed and multiple people died. One of which we read, local, same road, where multiple people died. One of which just happened last week, where the person turned down our 5-lane...
driving along and just driving at you.
5-lane road. And bear in mind, we've lived here for 4 months and we've witnessed it at least 4 times.
Yeah, so driving the wrong way seems to be a very common issue, and with that comes extremely bad accidents.
Yeah.
In the UK, especially in and around London, I would say we're used to accidents, but they tend to be quite minor.
Yeah, the majority of ones you pass are minor. We haven't
Vegas.
seen a minor. I've probably seen 5 or 6, maybe a bit more crashes, all of which have been horrendous.
They go all in.
Horrendous.
The best way to describe it is Vegas is all about gambling and going all in. This is exactly what they do with crashes. They think, right, I'm about to go into an accident, I'm just going to maximise just how bad it is.
The least bad one I saw was, I think when we lived over at the other place, there were 4 cars, one was facing the wrong way, one was across the traffic, and then the other ones had just ploughed in. That's the least. I don't think people died. And then the worst one is head on. I think 2 cars were on fire, one was in the ditch, and multiple people dead.
Yeah,
it's that bad.
And I think it's linked to the fact that the other thing we see a lot with driving here in Vegas is you have to be prepared that somebody could just pull out on you at any moment, and it wouldn't even make sense. Like, it's so obvious that you're there in the road that they just pull out, but then they also go from one side to the other and just pull across all lanes of traffic without any care for anyone who's there.
And because the UK in general, around town, I wouldn't say people stick to speed limits, but it's often very difficult to get above 5 or 10 miles an hour.
Anyway,
Here, the minimum speeds on a general road, the main ones, is 45, and it can be up to 50. So when you're doing that and you've got 2 cars travelling at 45 or more, it's going to cause more of an issue. And you often have 5 lanes of traffic, which is going to take out more people. Whereas in the UK, it's 1 lane each way and very low speed in general. So it might not be that the standards are worse overall, but when something happens, it's going to be big.
Bad. Number 2 is communicating with people in Vegas. It's a thing in itself, and you think you speak the same language, you're both talking English. No. That's not the case. You have to say things. The thing that's got me the most personally, and I would say it's more me than you, is if you do not say things in the exact way that they expect you to say it, they literally look at you blank as if you're talking a different language.
Yeah, you're speaking the same language and you think that it's really easy, but I actually find it a lot easier to communicate with somebody who speaks broken English in Germany than here often, because you have to think of the way that they're expecting to process
Actually, that's a really good point. I would honestly say that people from other countries where they're not native English speakers understand English better than they do here, because here you're actually saying English words, but because you're not saying it in the way that they expect you to say it.
For anybody that understands any type of computing, all I can say is if you were coding in one language but the recipient machine only understood another language, it's that. So what you're saying does make sense and it is right, but they are expecting it in a different format, a different syntax, which means they're unable to process all of it. Even if the words are the same, it's the particular syntax and structure that they're expecting. It's more the flow of the noises. They aren't able, because you might say coffee, but if theirs is half coffee plus 3 shots of milk, and you say coffee, they're not able to work out that you're even trying to order a coffee. It's that
yesterday with me at the DMV, I turned up at the counter to check in for my appointment. It was just before 8:30. She said, "What time's your appointment?" I said 8:30. She said, "What time's your appointment?" 8:30. "What time's your appointment?" And it wasn't even loud. It wasn't loud around us. I kept repeating. She just couldn't understand. 8:30. Eventually, the time is now. Eventually, she understood, but for some reason, she just couldn't comprehend.
And it's common across all. This isn't just when you're phoning up and it's over the phone. This is in person. This could be coffee shop, gas station, food establishment, DMV. And you're right. I struggle less, but I'm also more used to American terminology.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to remember what to say for them to understand.
I would say none of the American colleagues that I work with have this issue. So I've worked with Americans for the last however many years, and I've never had an issue with
It's
language.
A Vegas specific.
So just being clear that this is a Vegas thing. At number 3, we have that Vegas is really a city of 2 halves, and I think this is a key thing that you might not expect, especially if you've only been here on holiday visiting the Strip. What you see on the Strip is not what it's like outside of Vegas at all.
What you see on the Strip is entertainment, flashy, glitz, glam, quite fast with the service because they're trying to get your money. What you get here is true suburbia, American suburbia, the sprawl of homes and communities.
How it looks.
Yeah, and it's in direct contrast. So unlike some other cities or places that you might go, Florida is slow. Doesn't matter whether you're in the theme park,
that's true.
the shop,
it doesn't make any difference, does it?
or you're living in the community. It's a much slower pace of life. It's far closer to the Caribbean. Here, you've literally got polar opposites. You've got fast-paced glitz glam to not rural, but suburban type of living.
I think if you're coming here, that was a big shock for us, because we had only known the Strip. We really hadn't appreciated what it would be like in Summerlin, where we're living, and it couldn't be any more opposite to the Strip.
No. And it's quite shocking when you go there. We spoke to your colleagues, and the husband kept saying, every time we had to pinch ourselves, because we'd go into the first year, I think they've been here 20 years now, first year we'd go in the Strip and we'd be like, we actually live in Las Vegas, the one you see on TV. But when you go there, it's just such a shock each time, because we go there rarely. It'll be 2 months between visits, and you go there and it's so much energy. And we went there for a comedy show. That's what we went for.
Oh yeah, we went to the
MGM Grand. Amazing. Watched Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan. It was a really, really good show. The whole show they put on was great from start to finish. But when you arrive and you say, oh my God, there's thousands of people, cars, people, lights, people dressed up in all manner. You've got people dressed up like me, just sports attire, to people that have come here because it's a special event, so they're really dressed up. So it really is like a lot when you arrive, and then when you're leaving and you see that the roads are packed and people trying to get out, it reminds you that this is a party city. And then you come to where we are, where there's like 5 cars every 15 minutes.
Everyone's waving to each other. And actually this leads on to point number 4, which is the community feel that you get here in Vegas. And where we've mentioned in the last one, it really is a city of 2 halves. At number 4, when we talk about the community, it's really that pace of life, the type of people, how friendly they are, how we get into conversations with people
Everybody.
all the time.
All the time. We get invited to people's homes all the time. That doesn't happen in the UK. So as much as there are some downsides to maybe not having the best customer care and the fastest service, with that comes much more of like an old, slower town type of feel, which again is referencing the last one. It's the polar opposite to the Strip. It's much slower. People take the time to wave. People take the time to stop and talk. People take the time to ask you about your day and how you're settling in. Pretty much everywhere we go here, it's really friendly and it's really nice and very different to what we're used to.
Yeah, and with that comes the type of people. They're very active, they look very fair, and it's very different to what you... So on the Strip, it really is a mix of people. But here definitely here in Summerlin, people are very active. They look great. They look like they take care of themselves here, and I guess it's just not something I don't know. I think I was thinking more Florida. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick, I would have assumed more Florida. And in fact, I would say people here are probably, the image at least, more California than California is. It's like everyone that comes here has, and we know even the people that don't necessarily do extreme sports, they're out playing hockey, they're out in the street every day, they're playing basketball, they're playing baseball. Baseball and hockey are super popular here. Everybody's got an active lifestyle. They're on their bikes. Bikes are super, everybody seems to have a mountain bike here. So you're getting that really active lifestyle mixed in with that sort of older, slower feel. It's actually really nice and different for us.
One thing I would point out though, because we've gone out a few times in downtown Summerlin, and there's some really also what people call very bougie places.
Summerlin is known as being bougie. The first comment we got about when we were deciding to come here
YouTube,
was you'll like Summerlin, it's very bougie, and is definitely bougie. It's strange because you've got such nice family types, and it doesn't mean bougie people aren't nice, that aren't really showy, but yet if you go out into Summerlin downtown Summerlin, it's very showy. People are in high heels, very done up. The servers
even the servers, you can tell like the restaurants have a definite look and feel to their servers there, and you'll see the girls dressed in a particular way, their makeup done in a certain way, the big thick eyelashes.
And this is
makeup.
specific to Summerlin because again your colleague arrived a couple of weeks ago. We went for dinner and she's like, oh wow, this is like LA. It reminds her of LA because she's from Henderson. So even though Henderson is 20 minutes from here,
away,
massively different culturally to somewhere like Summerlin.
For anyone in the UK, for me, and that she could see the similarities with LA. For me, it reminded me of Essex. So if you imagine what Essex girls can look like. Oh, if you're watching The Only Way is Essex.
Not just the girls. So,
the guys as well, but the girls stood out because of the nails,
always
the eyelash. Yeah, there you go. And at number 5, and it's very much linked to what we were talking about with the community and the types of the lifestyle here, is the variety of things to do here, the abundance of activities, and something. And I keep saying this, I really didn't appreciate what Las Vegas had to offer, and just so much to do here, because going to California, we thought the biking, the beaches, very outdoorsy, but...
I'd say there's more here than we were anticipating in California. We don't live there, but it can be from completely free, which is, we've ridden for miles now. We've done it quite a few times. We get out on our bikes and you can ride for miles with linked paths, and there's actual bicycle paths in the way London wish it had. It's trying to create these bicycle highways. They'll take you over the road on bridges, they'll run you down the side of roads, past the hotels, and you can ride, I would guess, well over 50 miles, and somebody said 100 miles for certain trails, without having, I mean, you might have to cross a road or two, but without actually having to use the roads. If you do need to use the roads, there's actual dedicated, very wide bike lanes, so that's completely free, all the way up to things like super gyms, ATVs, there's lots of off-roading, lots of motorcycling, rock climbing, what else have we got here? Hiking. The baseball stadiums are amazing. I'm not even into baseball. So what you'll find is there's the proper baseball stadiums that you can go and play in, but every community, I'd say every couple of blocks, so for English people that's every few hundred meters, there's an actual baseball cage. built in. So we
every
have
park
3 around
pretty
here.
much has a baseball cage.
Baseball cage, they tend to have football, so we can walk to our local football field in about 5 minutes. We ride it in a minute. There's a pool every few blocks as well.
Community pools, tennis courts,
Kids play areas.
basketball courts, baseball.
Oh yeah, lots of basketball, lots of tennis. So there's just so much availability of stuff you don't even need to pay for. And then you can supplement that with stuff that you pay for. It's, I think, the most shocking part of coming. I would say this, and then the other one that's going to come up, which will be food, but we'll get onto that. I would say the activities is the most shocking part.
And even if you're into water sports as well, so don't think everyone, okay, it's a desert, so everyone assumes there's no water here, but there's the lakes here, and those who are into their water sports, you can do paddle boarding, jet skis.
They let you take your boats, full-size boats down there, power boats.
There's a lot of activity. And just one more extra point about the biking. I'm not a confident biker. I only started cycling last year during the pandemic. I much prefer cycling here over in the UK, because the UK, unless you're near a park, the roads aren't really set up if you're a learner, and you do get, well, I used to panic a little bit on the pavement.
I'm a reasonably confident rider. I've ridden on the road once last year with my brother because we got slightly lost coming back from central London on our bike, so we had to cut across the road because we knew the road route. But I would never opt to road ride in the UK, whereas I've road ridden here.
We've done it, and I've done it here, and I don't feel worried. They seem to be very courteous, certainly in Summerlin. So I'm not talking about nearer to the strip. Certainly in Summerlin, and it's just so much space. So I mean,
and for those, we've probably mentioned it, a lot of these facilities are geared up for families. This isn't, you're going to go there and see a bunch of teenage people, like youth centres for us. It was a bunch of teenage guys dominating the football. This is properly set up for families. Most of the time you're seeing families out there with usually like a dad with his son playing baseball, the family going to the pool, so it's super family friendly. Yet we're not a family with kids, but it's
on that point though, it's not just those with kids. Like, you see what I love about here
active adults.
It's active adults. In the UK, I don't know how many personal people I know as adults that were very active or had these hobbies that they were into. Most people I know, being quite frank, have quite a mundane lifestyle. And here, it's just how often you meet people and ask them what they're doing, what they're up to. Like when we went out for that dinner, we met the ladies. They've just come back from
they're like,
tennis.
Do you think they're going to mind if we turn up with our tennis stuff? No. And they've just been out playing tennis. We do have some communities popping up. So in Ebbsfleet Valley, I think it's called now, they're building thousands, about 10,000 homes, new everything. So it's going to have cinema,
in the UK,
pubs,
by the way.
in the UK. And there, what they've done is they've actually built community areas, which includes the tennis courts. So if you're a resident of that area, you can book in. So we're really trying to encourage it, and also the cycle paths that they've built in.
That's true.
It's a lot smaller, but at least we're getting that way. Whereas before, that didn't really exist.
At number 6, we have don't believe the cheapness of Vegas. And what we mean by that is, at the moment, Vegas is a very popular place for people to move to. We've definitely promoted moving here. We even, I think we've done a video explaining why we picked Vegas over California, and it was very much centered around the cost of living. And especially for us coming from the south of England, we have mentioned how much cheaper it is, what value you get for your money versus in the UK. But I will caveat all of that with, it really depends where you're coming from.
You'll hear from particularly people that live in Las Vegas and they've been here forever or a long time. It's far too expensive now. So it is really relative, and in comparison to most other places in the US, it's actually considered an expensive part to live in because it is considerably above the average. So if you take an average 3 or 4 bedroom home across the other 50 states, this is up there now. 5, 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, really, massively different. 3-bedroom home was over 150,000, I think, less than it is today. That's because people like us come here and it seems relatively cheap. Even now, it's absolute peak, it seems cheap to us, but for the other people, it's not. We've spoken, I've spoken to 2 people now that have sold their homes in December of 2020, assuming it was the absolute peak, because it seems so far out of the normal range. It's only continued to go up. So if you're coming from places where you're not used to high cost of living, California, Seattle, where is Seattle? Is it in Washington?
Where you are used to a high cost of living.
Yeah, London, the southeast. If you're coming from those, it will seem cheap. If you're not, it's going to seem like quite an expensive place. It's not just the homes, but the general cost of living can seem high. Things like insurances.
Oh yeah, very high.
We mentioned in our utilities in this one.
We will do of the providers next.
Okay. And we'll come on to the utilities part, but you'll find that the general cost of living is slightly elevated to a lot of the places in the UK and within the US.
So we're just saying, if you are considering moving here,
do some research.
Do some research based on where you currently live before you assume it's actually cheap to live here. Which does kind of lead into number 7, which is the utilities. And we'll explain. We're not 100% sure if this is a particular thing about Vegas or the US. So if you guys know, do comment below.
Yeah, we only know the one place that we've ever lived in the US, which is here. So although we come here a lot, we would never have been paying utilities before. So this is our first experience of paying utilities. And what's surprising for somebody that's lived in the UK is you don't have a choice here. There is no choice. Your utility companies are your utility companies. You have one gas company and one electricity company, which is kind of scary because there's absolutely no competition. There's no reason for them to make the service cheaper. In the UK, there's, at least where we're from, there's no such thing. You can pick at least 5 or 6 different electricity companies, at least 5 or 6 different gas companies that are always offering you special deals and discounts and reasons to come. They'll give you a teddy plus a discount for a year.
And far more internet providers.
Yeah, the other one is you have 2 choices here. So we have a choice of $70 a month for slow or $130 a month for actually quite quick download but terrible upload speed. Those are our 2 choices. 2 providers, $70 or $130. We were paying for much faster internet at home. I think it's £33, something like that, and that's fairly expensive. In the UK, you can get internet for 15. When we had Virgin, it was less than 50, it's £12 per month. So there's an example of the utility companies here have a monopoly.
Number 8 is the weather, and it is probably the thing that came up the most when we moved here. Oh, just you wait until the summer. You wait for those 2 months.
We didn't even have to wait that long. We waited till spring, and it's been the hottest spring, either on record or within recent recorded
everyone
history.
Says it's not normal.
Completely not normal. It's
hot is.
Yeah, hot doesn't describe it. It's fine for me in the most part, but you can't escape it. We've had a couple of comments. I know Will's commented on, oh, could you go out in the morning or the evening, which is a great suggestion in normal places. For example, Florida's amazing. High humidity, but at 5 a.m. period, it's really nice. You've got nice cool. Yeah, or even not. It's a little bit wet and it's nice and cool. Here, we left the Rogan Chappelle show at 11:30 at night. It was 39°C. And then I get up anywhere from like 5 to 6, and it's often 39°C. So it goes from 39 to 46°C, and it also gets the hottest around 4 to 6 p.m.
Which is the thing that surprised me the most when we arrived, when it wasn't as hot, but the peak heat was actually late afternoon, where in the UK you expect it much earlier in the afternoon, and then actually when you get to about 5, 6, 7, it starts tapering off. That's definitely not the case here, and don't, like Ant said, assume that at night the temperatures drop.
No,
you're pretty much in heat all the time.
So it's really a case of, if you are considering a move here, I mean, really do, if you have the opportunity, preferably non-pandemic if you're coming from outside the country, come and try it for 2 weeks and try and do normal things outside, because I think it'll be surprising for a lot of people at how punishing it can be.
It's extreme.
Yeah, and the second part of the weather...
Well, I was just going to say, before we get into it, it's so hot that even our tap water, so in the morning when we
you have no cold tap water.
No,
it doesn't, you can't get it.
It's warm water coming out of our tap.
So
that's how hot it is.
In order to get cold water, fortunately we've got a fridge, and I think a lot of US fridges, not just here, it pumps it through a filter within the fridge, so it's nice and cold, and that's how we get cold water. Otherwise it's as if you'd mix the hot and cold tap together, so it's not scalding, but it's hot. water.
And I will say, I don't want to scare anyone off of coming here, because unlike in the UK, when it's high 20s, you can't escape the heat. You are literally in your house, you're tossing and turning at night, you're in the shops, everywhere is just sweltering hot. At least here, it is set up for the heat. Everywhere has air conditioning. So it's not as though you can't avoid it. You're literally just going to your car, get to your location. There's lots of activities that you can do indoors as well, as we've mentioned. And one tip, get a sun shield. What do they call it? The windshield screen.
It's a sun blocker that you put in the windscreen. It will save you.
Now, I will tell you, if you don't put something in your windscreen, you'll burn yourself when you're getting. You will not be able to sit in your car. So either make sure you park underground or somewhere shaded, or put a sun shield.
And hopefully, before the camera overheats, demonstrating how hot it gets here. The other part of the weather conundrum here is the wind.
Yeah. We've mentioned it before, but it's such a baffling one.
It is so windy here a lot of the time. I mean, I don't know, what do you reckon, like 40, 50 miles an hour?
Yeah,
quite frequently.
It's very normal, and no one ever mentioned it.
I don't know whether they're used to it, or I don't know whether, again, this is a freak year and it doesn't happen that often, but since we've been here, it's been windy well over 10, 15, no, well over that.
And in fact, today is
15
probably
times.
the least windiest I've
Yeah, it's
noticed.
been-
It's very calm today.
been
Usually
nice.
my hair's flying everywhere.
And you might think, oh, that means you get a nice breeze. We're nowhere near the sea or the ocean, so it's as if somebody's turned the hairdryer on, so it's hot air being
Or
blown
like
onto you.
the fan in your oven is on, so you're just
Yeah,
you're
when you
being
open it.
baked.
Yeah.
At number 9, we have barely any bugs. And this is something I actually really like, because I hate bugs, and I've always hated spiders back in the UK. But really surprising here that you don't really see anything.
No, probably not the spiders and that, because although we don't like them, it's not that often you see it. What is the most noticeable is the moment it turns to spring or summer, those 6 days you get in the UK.
Oh yeah,
the
flies.
flies and the mosquitoes and the gnats, they
Definitely.
are everywhere. You think, oh, do you know what? I'll go and sit outside on the balcony, on the terrace, in the park, and I'll have a nice lunch. And you're just bugged constantly by bugs. Here, never. You can leave your dinner out here. The likelihood of you seeing a fly or a bug dart is next to nothing. We can leave these doors open when it's slightly cooler to the house, and there'll be one fly that comes in the entire day. You just don't see anything here. And we did mention that we have to get a bug spray, but that's more to do with the scorpions and spiders that might show up. It's not to do with the actual flying bugs. They just don't exist.
And you actually really get used to it. So it's really nice at night in the UK, you know that when you're eating out, you're going to have all these flies. But here you can be out and not have to worry about it. But it does make you super sensitive when you do notice a fly. So we'll get this one fly and then suddenly you're super heightened to it.
Yeah. I don't know whether it is, but there was like a whole pandemic of cicadas that was over on the East Coast. About 3 days ago, we started hearing this loud screaming noise out the front. So I think we've probably got a couple here. Doesn't cause any issue other than the noise is more extreme than you would think.
Oh, it's super, super loud. But the other thing I was going to mention with the link with the spiders is we work out in our garage a lot, and and everyone used their garages here. But I definitely had the connotation of with garages growing up of scary spiders being in there. That's where the spiders lived, and I was always scared as a child to go in there, or if you had to go in and find something, you never wanted to do that. Here, our garage is completely clear, so even when I'm living in there, you expect to see a spider or something, but you don't see anything in there. So I love it.
For people that don't like bugs, maybe here, but obviously everything has positive. Life is balanced, so no bugs, extreme heat.
Yeah, there you go.
Just pick your poison.
But the extreme heat apparently is only for 2 months. We'll see.
No, but people were telling no, so it's not. That's not the case, because they were saying it comes in the summer. So it's been this hot since May at least. It's now July, so May, June, July the 10th or the 11th,
5 months.
and then they said it's up to September, isn't it?
No, it's September it starts dropping.
Yeah.
That's what they say, yeah.
So we've got all of July, August, and then 4 into the 5th month, and then it should drop off.
But we'll update you. We'll let you
Yeah.
know what happens. And at number 10 is our favourite one, which we always mention. It's the food.
Yeah.
I think we had lots of people comment to us, that colleagues of mine that live in the US, that said, oh, you're going to love the food. But we can't get across just how good the abundance is.
Abundance, the variety, and all from low quality to the highest quality, from the cheapest to the most expensive, and all corners and crevices of the world are covered here.
You find everything.
And when you watch a lot of the YouTubers that are specifically food channels, and then they come here, they're like, oh my god, I forgot how much choice you have here. So even the people that do it for a living recognize how much is in Vegas. And I think it's a bit surprising, especially if you're on the strip. You get all the chains on the strip, but you also have mostly high-end restaurants that are trying to extract money out of you. 3 minutes from the strip in any direction, you'll find amazing Mexican, amazing Asian, amazing Hawaiian food. The one thing we don't really see, oh no, there is some English food. There's Irish pubs and
There's the Irish pub, you can get
English
fish and
pubs.
chips. We've not been yet, but apparently they do. I think pretty much everything that you could try and look for, you can find here. And every week, although there's lots of places we go back to, we do try and find new places, and really it's not that hard at all.
And then I would say, on the whole, it's reasonable. The food here, it's not too expensive, it's not ultra cheap, it's reasonable. So you do feel like you can go out and enjoy yourself, and you're not going to get completely ripped off. Because you could make the assumption that because you're on Las Vegas, everything's going to be quite expensive. If you're on the strip, it's expensive. Once you come off there, it's pretty much average
And
US prices.
I would say average, but you can
eat cheap.
You can eat cheaply here. There is a budget for everything here. So.
And it doesn't mean cheap doesn't mean bad. You can get very good food cheaply. You just need to look for it a bit harder.
Yeah, so that's number 10. So there are our 10 kind of random things that we've found out over the last 4 to 5 months of living here. We'll do some dedicated videos. Definitely the driving one is going to be a topic on its own.
What we should do, and I do have, I can't remember where I put it, I've got a in-car camera that's wired into the car somewhere. We took it out. So it'd be interesting just to record that, and then we'd always have the recordings of the craze. Because if you would have seen the one we pulled, we're right by Red Rock Casino, and it's a minimum of 5 lanes. It might even be a 6 or 7 lane, and for some reason this car just decided that was the direction that he needed to go in. So he just pulled into all 7 lanes, and then he did a U-turn in there, then he went the other, and you're just like, what is going on? But he just did it so casually, like, yep.
It seemed pretty cool.
This is what we do here.
I kind of appreciated that he didn't panic in the moment. He was very
Which
calm
is
with it.
scary in its own right, because he just is so normal. And then there was it the other day where somebody hit the middle reservation and jumped onto their roof, it's just
It's crazy.
madness.
We should start capturing this so we can share some of the craziness of the driving. So definitely there'll be a dedicated video on the driving soon. Let us know what you thought of this video. If there's more, we'll try and do some fun fact ones more in the future, because we're learning so much as we live here. If you haven't already, do not forget to subscribe.
What's the key point, Sal?
What is the key point?
Our new website.
Oh, yeah, that is true. We have a new website. It's www.theantcellway.com, and we are sharing, very much like what we do on this channel, a mix of our life experiences, stories. So you'll see written up blogs of our stories, but alongside that, we're also doing some more informational content, especially around things that sometimes you just need to be able to look up the definition when it comes to health.
Yeah, or reference it a lot easier than having to watch a video 6 or 7 times. The videos will be linked if there is an associated video, but if you're looking at what visa options do I have, obviously we're not the visa office, but there'll be the list on there, so you can actually look, oh, does the L1 look like what I would do? Is it an O visa? So it's a lot easier to reference.
To where you can go to find more information. So do check the website out and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Great, thanks for watching. A link to that is the utility services when you're trying to communicate with them a problem, or your SIM card.
Yeah. It's I guess are we going to do it on this point?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't even know where to begin, but essentially we've had trouble with all of our utilities, and more recently I've had 2 free SIM cards now since being here because I refuse to pay the ongoing monthly costs that they want. So if you sign up to a new one, it's usually half price. Both times I've had issues with my SIM, and I knew what was going to happen. This time, the same issue. The SIM turned up, it didn't work, and I'm saying the SIM itself is not working. If I try it in 2 different phones, it doesn't work. The SIM that I currently have does work. You've sent another SIM, shall I try that? Okay, if you do this on the SIM, no, but the SIM doesn't work, the SIM is broken. Okay, but if you do this on the SIM, no, the SIM is broken. Okay, do this, okay, I'll do that on the SIM. 45 minutes later, so we sent you another SIM, yes you did. Can we try the other SIM? Yes, we can. And I thought, I'm not even gonna get into it because she wouldn't have even understood if I would have gone back and just showed her. And it's so bad that I ended up taking screenshots of my phone because she's trying to tell me to do something that isn't available on my phone. So I took screenshots and she's like, oh, let me check. And then started waffling about something else. But it's the same thing over and over again with people here.
Their ability to comprehend,
their comprehension skills is
interpret, think outside of the parameters that they're being told to work within is just not there. Even when you're telling them what the answer is. So in this case, I've told them, should I just try the other SIM? No.
Oh, it worked, by the way. So from the point that we agreed that the SIM was broken and to try the other SIM, it was like 1 minute fixed. So it was nearly an hour of wasted time and 1 minute of fixed time.
Well, they just like talking to you.
Oh, no, it's not. It's definitely not that.